Future Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome to Future Proof. You're watching Sarah Hopwood as I continue this series 2 looking at future proofing, and I invite people into the studio to inspire people to share their stories. And today I've got a very special person. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for many years and we work together too. In the past we have, and we're working together now. So Pieter owns Concordia Dental Healthcare, and he's come into the studio now to talk about future proofing, what that means to his patients, and you never know what it could mean for you too. So I hope that you enjoy the programme. Pieter, thank you so much for joining me on the programme today.
Thank you for having me.
It's brilliant having you here. When you work with somebody and you kind of chat in, and then
Absolutely.
Here we are in the studio. And also, Pieter, you've kindly sponsored the programmes too, so you are opening up the programmes.
I'm glad to, yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So, Pieter Grobler, first of all, anybody who listens to you knows you're not from the UK.
Yes.
So what's your story? When did you come to, where are you from and where did you...
So I'm obviously from South Africa. And I complete all my education in South Africa in Stellenbosch University, things in South Africa has changed over the years, and I always come to the realization that I would leave South Africa. My father, who had many farms, basically just said to me, "You're not inheriting anything from me, so it's best you go to university, get the international qualification, and go try and make a future somewhere else." So the UK was always the number one for South African dentists to go to, because there was a great need, always published. The NHS had a shortage at the time I come over. There was a shortage of 5,000 dentists. So they with open arms accepted us, and it was not really looking back from that point in time.
So you've worked with the NHS, you've been an associate, and then you opened up your own dental practice called Concordia Dental Healthcare. Why Concordia? Where does that come from?
Well, Concordia is Latin for harmony, and I was feeling over the years that when I was working on the NHS, I just felt like I didn't get my patients to the stability that I needed, just because the demand's so high, short appointments, so I really got to the point where I felt like I want to create a structure or a practice or a clinic where I can take the patient from point A to point B or to their destination and create balance. Because if there's imbalance, we have problems reoccurring. But once there's balance, then the problems stop. I always like to use the analogy to my patients of a motor car. You know, if the wheel alignment is out or the chassis is misaligned, there's going to be problems. And unless you correct that, your tires is going to wear quicker. And it's really the same with the mouth.
And I have to say, and I'm allowed to do this, you know, I totally endorse that. Not just, he's been my dentist for years, his work is done with the family, but part of my role is I've actually grabbed testimonials too from people. And the biggest thing that comes across time and time again, Pieter, is about the fact that you care about every single one of your patients. And there was one I met, I think it was either last week or the week before, that was leaving with his work complete. And I know that he was from that band, if you like, of people who dreaded going to the dentist, and also he had a phobia about things in his mouth. Can you tell very quickly the story of the reason why his mouth was in such bad shape and why you wanted to help him?
I really recall the case, and it's true you say, you know, at Concordia we do care. I do feel like when I treat any of my patients is that I want to treat you as if you're my friend or a family member. I just never seen it anywhere else. Following that recipe I have a very, very high success rate with my cases. I mean, the amount of failures that's there, I can probably count on one hand. But it's more or less, majority of patients or the public is scared in going to the dentist. And people think it's not just scared because they're nervous because of the pain. I think the whole process is a very painful process, emotional, there's physical pain, and the financial implication. I mean, from time to time I send out treatment plans and I'm shocked. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm glad it's not me. But people suffer different forms of neglect. And that eventually would cause them to have to go to a dentist.
So this guy had a phobia about things in his mouth, from toothbrushes to, I think, even eating implements. And he went to other dentists, he asked for help, he was highly embarrassed opening his mouth in front of anybody. He dreaded the visits, but had got to the point where something had to be done because he was in so much pain. And you saw him. And I just know, number one, you said you didn't even know quite exactly how it was going to work out, but you just made him a promise, I won't leave you toothless. And I know you transformed his life. How did you have the confidence with his back? If you'd seen the pictures of him, you know, and this is all with due respect, it really wasn't a pretty sight. Where does that confidence come, where you just go, do you know what, I'm not sure exactly how it is, but I just know that I know I can help?
It's a good question. I assume it's been in the industry for a long time now. I mean, when I probably was a young dentist, I probably was a little bit more blunt and didn't really spot these things. But it's identifying the individual to what are they emotional status at that time. He was clearly very entrapped in his situation. He got to a point where he was very embarrassed. But I think, and he's been to many dentists before, but I think that's really shifted Paul to use me, is that the reassurance I was able to give him. I know deep down I was able to help him. And I know exactly what needed doing. But I think it's the approach we were taking and how we discussed it with him. I didn't say to him, or so why didn't you clean your teeth, or you should have, you could have, this or that. It's purely identify the problems, identify the need, and then met the need for him. I mean, even with him, he was very scared with having anything in his mouth. I could barely do an examination, but just enough to calm him down, to have a good look. And the best approach for this guy was really to be put to sleep. And I even was there with him at the hospital. So when he wake up, I was there. And he was really happy to see me. But, you know, it's having the ability. I don't think it's confidence. It's having the knowledge and understanding people. And this is why at my clinic at Concordia Dental, we take the time to understand the individual and the person and what is happening around in life. You know, many guys will say you look at a patient, you're not just looking at their teeth.
No, that's right.
The teeth is the last thing we should be looking at. What you should be looking at is at the person. Who are they? What's happening in their lives? Because that has a great influence in how they take care of themselves. And if you're the type of dentist who someone comes in and you just open teeth, you're not seeing the whole person. And this is why Concordia is the balance, is the focus is on in creating balance and treating the individual according to those standards.
Yes, and I've had conversations when you've even related, I am only talking to you the way that I would about, you know, from my own wife to my own daughter to my own son. Absolutely. Or whatever else, and that's where your heart is. And you know, and if we think, what does this have to do with future proofing? It has everything to do with future proofing, because just this one case, and we can multiply them up, the future for this guy, this one person moving forward, is completely different to what it could have been had you not sorted out his smile, because the smile is the gateway to our confidence, to how we're feeling,
to happiness.
And to happiness. Yes. And we're going to be going into the break in a minute, Peter, but do please stay with me, because I do want to talk a little bit more about artificial intelligence and whether there is a place in dentistry for it. But I would just like to say, do Google Pieter Grobler at Concordia Dental Healthcare. You have surgeries in Hove and East Grinstead. We're on the web, www.concordiahealth.com. So see you in a moment.
EQ, emotional quotient, is better known as emotional intelligence. It is a tangible tool that can sit alongside your services or your product, and it can be taught. Leaders with high EQ have less stress, they're more effective, and they earn more money. There's a great saying, just because we have pains, it does not give us permission to be a pain. I believe that teaching emotional intelligence has a direct impact on your sense of success and your net profits. EQ will empower you and your workforce to drive the change that you want. Change brings transition. EQ can help unpack what's holding you back and speed up that period of transition.